All right, guys, getting into the market today, we had our complete bloodbath sell-off from that red hot CPI news that we got in today. Just an absolute massacre. There was no hiding from the bears today, no safe havens, just absolute bloodbath across the board. There wasn't a sector that didn't bleed today. Looking at our nice heat map here on the S&P, everything red, just literally everything. Only thing that's squeezing a green day, Twitter. Hey, Twitter, good work. And some agriculture stocks. Very cool, very cool. I mean, just there is no clear message that inflation is the cause of all of our problems, and a red day like today, this absolutely proves that the market is scared to death of a stagflationary uh, kind of environment that we were heading into and that we have been in. And now we know that this inflation is not just because of gas. That was why inflation went down last month, because we had that severe drop in gas prices. But that is kind of the thesis a lot of these bulls have been having too, was that, hey, maybe it's just because gas spiked up. There are many reasons why I think that's absurd, because gas has spiked up before in the past, and it is never, I mean, it doesn't help inflation, but to think that it is the cause of our 8% inflation year over year is absurd, because there's just no way there. It doesn't, those things don't affect rent. It doesn't affect our electricity, our food away from home. I mean, it does have an underlying effect on most goods, but it is just obviously not all about gas, because we dumped today, and CPI came in hotter than expected. We were expecting a low number. We got not a high number, but a higher than last month number, which tells us that the trend is not so much down on inflation. It is kind of just sideways. We wanted to see inflation peak and then see the next CPI show inflation coming down. But what do we get? We saw inflation peak, and then we saw this next one kind of go up a little tiny bit. Not what the market wanted, clearly. And yeah, it's not a good situation at all. And we got this is our reddest day of the year. I mean, this is it. We haven't seen a redder day this entire 9.5 months. Just shocking. So I'm gonna run over some levels. I'm gonna talk about what I think could happen tomorrow, and frankly, I think a lot of people are expecting a bounce tomorrow because we're looking so oversold. But I can't help. Let's go to SPX. I can't help but look at the last time we got a bad CPI report. The last time we got a bad CPI report was over here back in June. And back in June, we had a nice CPI report before that print in June, and then we got a worse one that ended up showing climbing inflation, and we dumped, and we had a big old red day. But not just one, and not just two big old red days off of that. We got three back to back to back. I mean, it just fell off a cliff. I bet you after this first day, people were like, hey, how much more could it possibly drop? Now, mind you, these were not 4.5% red days. This is about a 2.5%, a 3%, and then a 3.8% red day. But these are all back to back. So this is the perfect kind of proof to the saying that the bulls take the stairs up and the bears they jump out the window. And right now we have SPX sitting just right at our key support right now. This trend line that we bounced off of previously. See, we got that bounce the other day. Man, these drawings I got are ugly. But man, I draw that arrow down and it did exactly what I said. But so we're right here at the support. Now, if we bounce off this tomorrow and we get a big green day, I don't know what to think. This is just going to be a head spinner. But I would not be surprised if we gap down below the support tomorrow and we start heading for new lows. And it does not take. I mean, we went from 4,100 down to 3,900 in a day. So we could drop down and make a new low. I mean, in a couple days from here. And that's kind of what we did in this past CPI report. I mean, we hit support, and it just didn't even care. It just kept dumping. So, not saying that that because that happened in the past that it's going to happen again. Just saying that it's absolutely possible that even after a insanely red day today, like today, that it is more than possible that we have continuation of the downside. Um, so I am looking at my key levels right here. I'm looking right there, key level right there. I mean, that's 4,000 basically. Um, But other than that, I mean, we're kind of in no man's land down here. We could slice through the support and get a bounce here at 3,909 or 3,910. But I think if we break this support line, this trend line right here, we open up below that and we keep going down, I think we're taking next leg down. We're almost certainly searching for new lows below 3,600 or 3,650 on SPX. And yeah, that is a frightening statement, I know, but wow. A day like today is just, I mean, you cannot ignore it. It cannot be ignored. So tomorrow, if we do get a bounce up tomorrow, I would look for a rejection up here at 39.78 because you can see that's where we fell through earlier today. But I am not playing any bounce tomorrow. I'm not looking at calls at all tomorrow. I think the ball is in the Bears' court. This is just they are completely in control. You see a day like today, you just cannot ignore the momentum. I mean, 4.5% in one stinking day, 5.5% on the Nasdaq. There's just, I mean, in the Nasdaq, you can see on the Nasdaq, it's already dumped through that support. I mean, it's already gone through it. So we also on the Nasdaq could see a bounce right at this level that we closed at. I mean, we wicked down to it. We got an inverse head and shoulders looking kind of thing. I am certainly not betting on that, but crazier things have happened. That is what I'm seeing on the Nasdaq. Otherwise, I mean, geez. We could bounce up to 296, potentially 297, 296.50 range. I will be looking for a rejection off of that if we do get a bounce tomorrow. What is happening right now after hours? Not that it really means much, but yeah, shit's still selling off after hours. Apple's still selling off after hours. Nvidia as well, still going down after. I mean, just insane, just insanity. So you can see this trend line. I love how we opened up and we came up and tested that trend line right there that I had drawn. Not that it was even accurate because it should be there, kind of thing, sort of kind of thing. Anyways, doesn't really matter. But otherwise today we had a perfect. So this is exactly what you want to look for when we get a gap down, we get a big sell-off, and you see things slow down. You are looking for what I love to call the bear flag. Not that I named it, but I love the bear flag. You're looking for consolidation, and this was just perfect. I mean, we just consolidate in this nice little channel. We dump out of it. You grab a put, and it's just like sayonara. You didn't even have to set a stop loss on that. We just blasted straight through the floor. Big volume selling too. That's another thing to mention. The volume on today was very, very high. The highest volume we had since clear over here on the 30th of June. And that's another thing to mention on this sell-off that we had back here in June was that we had really high volume, and then we had another very high volume, and then another one after that was even higher volume. So these kind of high volume days can just start stacking on top of each other, and this bearishness can just stack and stack and stack. The volume, the momentum just keeps going, and this was very obviously now a full-on bull trap. I mean, we had 4 green days right here. It took us 4 days to get up here, and it took us 1 day to slice all 4 of those green days. They're just gone. I mean, 4 days of green, 4 days of bulls pushing the market up, just gone in an instant. Like, just nuts. Congrats if you swung puts overnight. Congrats to you. But man, just brutal if anyone had any calls and was looking for any continuation to the upside, because I mean there was absolutely a bullish look to this chart. You cannot deny it. We get a bounce off support. We're ripping through. We break this resistance trend line. I mean, we have a higher high and a higher low. Things were looking bullish, but now it is just looking like we're going to slice through this low. But really, those are my levels. There's not much else to say. We're in free fall mode. We're looking for support right now. So that's what I'm looking at. So say we do break through this level to the downside. I could see us potentially finding some support down here at 285. I mean, really, that's my next level. We have to keep in mind, I believe there are gaps to the downside. Maybe any unfilled gaps, or we already fill them all. Small gap right here from 288 down to about 287.50, so not really that much of a gap. I could have sworn I saw a gap. Maybe it was on SPX. Ah, yes, it is on SPX. So we have a nice gap here on SPX from 38.68, basically. I could zoom in. From right there, 38.65 down to 38.39. So a pretty nice sized gap right there. That's going to help the bears push. But man, NASDAQ, yeah. I mean, below that, we're looking for support maybe at 288. If not then, I mean, 285 is the next level I see, where we've had a strong-ish kind of support right there in the past. But geez Louise. I mean, this scrap. I mean, this chart cannot look any more bullish or bearish. Let's look at some of our big names. I mean, Apple, just it's gone. Like, look at Apple, this poor thing, just completely dumped. Gaps down, just continues to dump all day from 160 down to 154. Terrible. Nvidia has one of the most bearish looking setups in my opinion. This thing it is looking for support, and on Nvidia, we are gonna have to zoom out a very, very long ways to find any support on Nvidia because we are way back here, back where it used to be. So potential support here at 123 on Nvidia. Otherwise, Nvidia has consolidated in this range in the past for literally months, and it's very possible it can continue to do that for the upcoming future. Where in the F? Oh, I must be blind. Yes, I am blind. So we've been in that range for a very long time. I doubt we see the bottom of that range by tomorrow, but definitely could see right here at 124.50-ish to 123 range on Nvidia tomorrow. It looks like it's just, I mean, when you see a close like that below any kind of support, it is not looking good on Nvidia, not at all. So that's what I'm seeing on Nvidia. I mean, this is kind of just going to be a boring video, really. Like AMD, it's looking like AMD is heading back for its absolute bottom, $71. Square, I really like the setup on Square still. We got that rejection off of that level there at 76.50, and now we are continuing to see that downside on Square. But anyways, we do have PPI numbers coming out tomorrow, which if those are bad, then the market's gonna just continue to sell off the producer price index. But man, this just sucks. So what exactly does this mean for the market? So it's impossible to know what the market is thinking at any given time. It can do things that don't make any sense whenever it feels like, and just to screw with people like me. But I think the market was hopeful that if inflation does to continue to come down, that the Fed would eventually see that their efforts are working, that they don't have to be as aggressive, that they can go with smaller rate hikes if they so choose, and they would feel good about themselves, and the public would be like, yay, look, inflation is coming down, the Fed, it's working. But you get a report today that says no, inflation is not going down. It is still on the steady uptrend. Then that tells us their monetary policy is failing. It is not working. They've jacked up rates, and 9 months later, it is still not working. It is not killing demand as much as it should. They have to keep going aggressive. They have to keep the foot on the pedal. And now we are fearing that not only are we going to get a 75 basis point hike in September, but after that we'll get a 75, and then if we keep getting bad CPI reads, that we'll get another 75 after that. And the market, I think at one point was back over here, back when the market was just going stupid and we had these highs. I think the market was going like, "Sheesh, maybe we'll get a 75, then we'll get a 50, and then maybe they'll pause." But now I don't think they're pausing anytime soon. And I think the Fed was upset that the market thought that, because then Powell came out, infamous Jackson Hole speech, and completely cratered the market. Um, so that is where we're at on CPI. That is kind of why I think the market is taking this so negatively. You can see VIX held that support it has at $22 and just completely skyrocketed today. Uh, Looking at DXY, the dollar, with a very green day. So the dollar going up is super bearish. You don't want to see that. And when it has monster green days like today, of course the rest of the market is blood red, and that is terrible. The market does not like to see the dollar going up. Um, so these are just the kind of macro. And then we saw the yields just skyrocket. I mean, let's look at the US 10-year. Yields skyrocketing today. This is not good. You don't like to see this. US 10 2-year? Oh, whatever. Anyways, I'm looking for more blood tomorrow. I'm fully expecting another bloody red day tomorrow, because this kind of news is just that bad and we are just still in a bear market, regardless of how bullish the price action could look at any given time. We are still in that bear market, and the bears are back, and this volume today proves that they are back, and that we are heading towards capitulation. We are heading towards a leg lower, new low, 362. So get that cash ready. If you thought you missed this dip back here in June, I think we're getting another dip. And some of those names that you thought you wanted cheap are now as cheap as they get. Nvidia, just AMD, all these names. I mean, Nvidia is the cheapest it's been all year. It's absurd. But yeah, it's just not looking good, man. Anyways, guys, good luck tomorrow. We'll see what happens. If we get a bounce, I would short the bounce, but I am not a financial advisor. So, anyways, guys, I'll catch you later.